Okay, so we are gonna call to order the Town of Ulysses Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee meeting. It is Wednesday, December 13th, 5:30 PM. If we could go around and just do a quick introduction roll call. Start with Neil.
Neil Stigison, town planner.
Rose Hanson, community member.
Roxanne Marino, Conservation Sustainability Advisory Committee. This is the comprehensive. What meeting am I at?
Ty Visorias, committee member.
Liz Weatherby, town board.
And I'm Ann DePetta, I'm the chair. Caitlin.
Caitlin Olson, town supervisor.
Our first item here is to approve the agenda. Did everybody get a chance to see the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Did anyone have anything to add or change?
Did someone write in saying they wanted to add? Did you catch that?
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to add.
Talk about the.
I just asked
grant.
a question. Yeah.
Yeah, she had asked whether.
I asked
to-
if we were gonna talk about what it was said we were gonna talk about at on board meeting, and if so, could we have the material, because
Okay.
there wasn't any. So,
Yeah.
so that we would be ready to talk about it. That's what I was
Okay.
asking, not really to add anything, just is that really on the agenda? Cause
Yeah,
last night at the board meeting, it was said that it would be on the agenda.
so we'll talk about it during the grant update
Yes.
Yeah,
section.
I think
Okay.
that would be fine.
Okay. Any other changes or comments about the agenda? Okay,
Nothing.
can we get a motion to accept the agenda
Motion to approve the agenda.
and a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Next item is approval of the past minutes. Did everybody get to see the minutes? Okay. Any comments? Additions, changes?
Am I allowed to vote on them if I wasn't here?
Yeah.
I mean, they look fine to me, but.
You can,
Oh,
Okay.
I mean, you can abstain or you could vote.
Okay.
I don't think you have to be at a meeting to vote on the minutes.
I'm used to,
good question.
for an advisory board, but
Yeah,
for boards with authority, I'm normally used to people abstaining.
Okay.
yeah.
I don't care one way or the other. I can do either,
Okay.
but I would defer to you guys about the
No, they,
minutes themselves.
seem
Any
fine to-
discussion? Okay,
they
any
seem fine to
discussion
me.
about minutes? Good, okay, can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
so moved.
Thank you, Roxanne, a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Rose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Moving right along. Privilege of the floor. We don't have anyone here in the room, and it looks like we don't have anyone on Zoom. But we'll just go right past that one. Old business. So we'll start with A, community visioning, web pages, SP, press release, questionnaire, grant updates. Niels, do you want to lead us on this?
Sure.
Okay.
Sort of a catch-all of wrapping everything up at the end of the year. So with the community visioning, we did a soft launch at Winterfest. Ty helped out. We had Liz Shiva, Rose Shiva, thank you both. And we had two students from the Civics Youth Internship Program help out. Very helpful. Just as a quick recap, the first hour was pretty slow going because of the juggle.
Will be.
It'll be.
Yeah, but after that, we had a lot more participation. We had a board basically of what you love about Ulysses. Took some photographs, handed out a flyer, sort of, and I shared that with, excuse me, with Rebecca, who's working on the press release, kind of a first stab at a press release for that. And then we compiled three questions on our last discussions as a soft serve for part of the press release as well. Yes, did you pick one up?
No. Michelle.
Molly.
Molly, gave these out. Did you get to see these?
No.
Did everybody get to see these? Okay,
So,
sorry, Mom.
have not, no one took the time. It was kind of cold and clammy, so they followed the question there.
Yeah,
Several people took one and we asked them to either email it in or drop it off, but haven't received anything yet.
Oh, is that true? It seems so sincere.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's something else being pressed on.
Maybe I was scaring them away. Possible. It's a little aggressive. Is that your first Hillby experience?
It was.
oh. That's a joy.
Come back to Winterfest, he's there every single year.
It's the best.
But,
You never
So
get
did you,
tired.
when you say you had a board up, oh, there's Karen and Bob. Okay. Is there anything you wanna like share with us about that? Like what, how many people, like I don't know if that's 50, 100, 5,
That would
Like-
have been nice.
10,
10.
when you were there,
at the end, when I thought we were wrapping up, there,
Mm.
Was there only 10? Okay.
10, 15.
All right, let's say 15.
well, we had more than that.
Just
I
in
was-
terms of writing their
Oh.
their
The
favorite
colors,
things
yeah.
on the board,
Yes.
there wasn't, I think people were talking to you
Yeah.
guys. Every time I walked by, you guys were chatting with somebody, but it wasn't, I don't think people were then taking the steps to write it up on the board.
Okay,
And we have a photo that's on SharePoint, but it sounds like there's
Oh, good.
access issues with the SharePoint.
Yeah,
it is.
I am one of those people who is not able to get access.
I couldn't either. Just kept saying you have to ask. I did everything it said,
Right.
and then it said you have to ask for permission.
yeah.
So-
And then I don't know how I asked for permission, but yeah, so I don't know.
so-
I don't know, would it be helpful if we have like Ulysses emails? Is that possible? Cause I have a Gmail.
yeah, that shouldn't
I
matter,
don't, yeah,
but as far as
Okay.
getting. Well, I might like Caitlin talk about this. I know Michelle is normally in charge of the emails. Is there a process for that if we need planning board, BZA members, compound steering committee members to have emails?
So I can talk to Michelle. The challenge becomes when, like, for having so many email system or email accounts creates a lot more administration work and management for records management. So
Okay.
so right now the town has adopted an email policy for chairs and staff. But does not currently have does not have an adopted policy for people beyond that. So I'm happy to have a conversation about that. So yeah, we can have that conversation, but I think it'd probably be easiest if there's a way to solve with people's existing email addresses, because then the challenge becomes yet another email address you have to manage. And is that really that efficient? So,
Yeah, and to your question, Rose, it shouldn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, but-
I did. Problem is,
Okay, so Beth, so community visioning. Winterfest, anything else you
I think it
wanna?
was a good self-serve or soft launch. What were your guys' impressions?
Yeah. I mean, at least initially just getting people to think about that
Yeah,
we're gonna be asking in the next couple months.
yeah, good. And it looks like we have a QR code.
Those to
I like
the-
this.
yeah,
Very
I
nice.
thought that was well done and not too wordy and brightly colored and.
Yeah. Do we have these sitting places at all? Like, do we have a couple sitting out next to
do
the water survey?
We could do that.
Make sure people take both at the same time and get them both completed. I don't know where else we could put them. It's not something you're gonna have like at the supermarkets or
Well, we kind of,
libraries or maybe the library.
I was kind of waiting for Rebecca's.
Okay, the
words,
press
I think.
release. Yeah.
Yeah, because we can use her language or whatever language and then go out to all the places we talked about before, like library,
Okay.
markets,
Yeah.
cafes, whatever.
Okay. Thank you for being there and doing that. Doing anything about web pages?
Just that we have a comp plan webpage, which is what the QR code goes to. There
Oh.
is hopefully committee members know that there's a comp
Yeah.
plan steering
Mhm.
committee webpage. Where agenda, meeting minutes and all that stuff are.
Now that I knew that.
So on the comp plan, the 2045 periodic update, that's the comp plan that's the comp plan website, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, because it says it's just a tiny error, but I noticed that in the second paragraph, it says the town board is responsible for, when you read that sentence, the end of that sentence says update to the 2019 comp plan. It says 2009 above, but we just might want to fix that so people don't get confused. I just happened to notice it because I
Good
was
catch.
reading through all this, trying to see if these things were on the SharePoint or if they were on the web
Yeah.
when I was looking for the documents.
Any other info on the web pages?
Not for that, but again, we have similarly a SharePoint for both the committee and for the compound project update. And all committee members should have access to that, but it sounds like there's a permission issue across the board. So I'll try to assess that out this week and figure what's going on.
Yeah, one gave me an option to request and I clicked the button, but I don't know if who got the request.
Right,
So
I did that
to let
too.
me in, I was like, click, I don't know.
Yeah,
The other one, nothing happened. There.
yeah, it says awaiting
Yeah.
approval, we'll let you know.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, it went off into space, I don't know who's gonna get it. but
that's right. It's just out there somewhere.
You always love that, you have like
And
no
that'll
confidence
be
anything's really gonna happen.
Just a shared folder for us to.
I have a number of tools set up. We have
Okay.
OneNote, which kind of think of it like a tracker keeper.
That's old school.
I know.
Love those.
I saw them the other day.
But from someone who used to be stickies everywhere.
Yep.
It's a lifesaver.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's OneNote, there's a whiteboard, which is great for just fleshing out ideas. Planner, which is a task item thing. There's a couple of tools in there that we have in there for both projects.
Okay,
Um,
great. Okay. Press release.
Rebecca, I think, did a community-wide email, working on that, so maybe by Friday, we should have something.
And that'll go to this group and then feedback and then what happens?
Papers.
Before the end of the year?
And it's just gonna say, this is coming. Please,
Links,
here's links.
contact info.
Contact, okay, okay.
Yeah, I think, the idea was making it like, this is very informational, but maybe making it more like, hey, this is happening, sir, that's what it's sounding like Rebecca was thinking anyway, but I don't know.
To grab people's attention.
Yeah, right.
And we'll cover the journal, Ithaca Journal, Ithaca Voice, and the Trumansburg Free Press, or we just,
So I'm kind of,
I haven't gotten that far.
that's okay. This is to Roxanne's question that she sent out as far as the RFQ distribution, but as part of that press release, we have, on the second page, traditional and event locations that we haven't put this information. So,
1:45.
You mean the RFQ or just that we're doing the?
it's like online version.
Let's do it.
This is a code.
142?
No, yeah,
50.
yeah,
Pretty, it's a, not a
Yeah.
typo.
yeah.
Is this, this is,
That's what I meant.
this is for the press release or this is?
This is for the RFQ, which I think we're not to yet.
But
But why
but-
would we send the RFQ to all these publications?
Well, we're not,
I think
it's,
it's
let's,
two parts.
yeah, let's
that's
talk
what I'm-
about.
That's what I'm
RFQ.
asking. Are we talking about that? Well, but he was pointing out these
I
publications.
think he's just pointing out the ones for the,
So
like,
that-
there may be some on here that we would send their press release to.
Right.
We
I
probably
just-
wouldn't send the press release to the survey to this full list.
Well, I guess
Right, we're
that's
not-
my
Or
question.
would we be asking
What are we
people in
sending there?
Syracuse to
for the
community
RFQ,
visioning?
for the press release, it'd be local. I was thinking
Yeah.
it was just be local.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for the community visioning, which is, I think we're still on old business item A.
Yeah.
Then we would just be targeting the local papers.
Yeah,
to put
okay,
the-
so it's a subset of these, and
Yeah.
we're talking about that right now, not the
Yeah,
RFQ, 'cause
yeah.
they were put together, okay.
Yeah, I think the Ithaca Times, Ithaca Journal, Ithaca Voice, the 14850, Tompkins Weekly and Seneca Shopper should
Yeah.
cover for a press release to get people
Yeah,
aware of the plan update.
How about the colleges? Because we have Cornell and.
we could. I mean, you could, it's,
But are we, I mean, they could always chime in, but we're focusing on folks who live in the town,
yeah,
right?
I think,
As,
I think you're right. I think it's
mean,
better
they
to
might
focus
be
on the town
helpful to-
papers.
Yep.
Yeah, because then you'll get I mean, not all the people there. live here, so. Makes sense, okay. So that press release will go to that list, and it will include a link to the questionnaire, which is gonna be these 3 questions.
If the committee's good with those questions. Yeah.
actually didn't really read the questions.
Oh, here.
It's been a bit.
Yeah. Do you wanna just read, would you mind reading them out loud?
Oh, sure. All right. So check in, let us know your thoughts and feelings. I won't read everything. Question 1 is, what is the greatest asset and features you love most about Ulysses that should be preserved and protected? And what goals and action items would be best to accomplish this? I like that one. What challenges and concerns do you think the town needs to plan for in the next 10 to 20 years? And what goals and action items would be best to accomplish this? And then the last question is, are you new to the town or a lifelong resident? What aspects of the town drew you to really relocate here and or to stay? I like that last question, because I think we're gonna get a variety of responses.
What's new?
Right,
Yeah.
I think I'm still new when we moved here, in 2010.
and we moved there in 2010 too. Well, I did, my husband. didn't. So we might be new.
Yeah, I don't know how you stop being new, but
Yeah.
You didn't
Yeah,
go
I
to high
like it.
school here.
That was a comment on one of the boards, like,
Oh.
deep roots here. They're like, to that point was like, I still feel like I'm new, and she said she's been here for 25 years.
Yeah. So, okay, so press release questionnaire, that will go out before the end of the year. Do we have a deadline for closing the questionnaire? We're just open-ended until we move on to the next steps.
I think what I heard at the last meeting was it could be open for several months or a couple of months.
Yeah, so we'll just leave it open until we move to the next thing. Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Want to talk about grant updates? Before we go into grant updates, I just want to acknowledge that we have Karen and Bob on the Bobby on the Zoom, so we had privilege of the floor already. I don't know if you guys were wanting to, I don't know if it's okay to circle back, but at least just acknowledging you're here. And we had privilege of the floor already, but if there's something you feel like you want to say, please feel free to let us know that. Okay, so grant updates.
Yes, we only have a fully executed grant.
Yay.
Yeah. And
That's exciting. Didn't think it was gonna happen after the last meeting. So,
And our new grant coordinator last week gave a thumbs up to the RFQ. So.
the person in
the person
Albany
in
or
charge.
wherever, yeah.
So they said that they really appreciated all the links and information to the CSC information, which was how we got the grant in the first place. So they're really happy with it. And we can go forward. So my request to the board, or sorry, to the committee members, is over the next week, take a look at the list. See if there's any additional well, I'll get to the firms in a little bit. But any additional agencies or professional groups that you think might be of benefit. I did reach out to Nate on the question of reach out to firms, private firms, because in Washington, my experience in Washington State is we took a hard no to officially reaching out to them. Word of mouth, if you're in a meeting or telephone calls, that was a different issue, but not to show favoritism, was paramount over there. However, when I did reach out to Nate, he referenced a comptroller's thing on procurement that indicated that it was okay. However, it needed to be, if we do reach out, his comments were, for appearance's sake, I think if there's an advertisement paper for proposals, reaching out to professionals in calls meetings, mentioning it in a non-official trackable way is probably best. However, it does indicate, or it does seem like the comptroller's office is okay if there's a very robust outreach to a lot of firms, so that there isn't a perceived slight for anybody. So the firms is kind of lengthy, and it's not just local, it's New York State. Some of them are global. So open up for.
Nope, that's my complaint.
which one?
Take care of. So they might not be able to do it.
Oh, yeah. Do we need
Which
to
one?
remove
What
that?
did you just say? I'm sorry.
AKRF is who I work for.
Oh, I didn't hear. Oh, okay.
So we might not be able to bid on it. It's not me personally in that part of. Do we have a? Who did the comp plan in 2009?
Bergman,
Bergman?
but they don't seem, are they not doing this anymore? I tried to Google on, because just when to recommend, and I was like, oh, well, that's who did it last time.
Yeah.
And then they also did a review of our zoning, like in 2011 or 11 maybe, to like just see how it was matching with the comp plan. And but I didn't see, it seems like they're just a straight maybe engineering firm or something. I don't know. I did not see it. So and it looks like you did a pretty comprehensive search here and the name didn't come up, so.
So they joined Collier Engineering and Design.
Oh, okay. Well, they're not on here either.
Yeah.
Who did Dryden's?
EDR.
Oh,
I looked
It's a
that up
woman-owned
today.
business
Yeah,
too.
it is.
I was
So
just
they
gonna
did it
ask,
college.
is there, and you know, there's a website and email that's sent to WMBEs, are we not? Like women and minority business enterprises. New York statewide,
Yeah, and
if they have like a special thing to send something. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm a recipient, so I get those emails like.
Did we have anything in our contract? I think that was one item that was being
spec and forth.
relooked at. And I don't know where it finalized, but usually you have to at least show, if you don't select one of those MBW, all of the
Right.
different acronyms, there's like 10
Yeah.
of them now. You have to show you at least attempted to try to talk to them. But EDR is definitely in
Yeah.
New York State certified in EWE.
Yeah, and they're in Syracuse and Rochester.
Well,
It seems
there's
like they did a
it's
good
like,
job
they have a
for Dryden.
listserv, like the WMBE for New York
Yeah.
State has a
Mhm.
listserv, like
Right.
I get. Stuff
Mhm.
every day, asking if I wanna go do an architecture project in New York City.
And we possibly can send me that listserv and.
I can,
Yeah, so
I'm not sure how to send something out on it, but
Contact.
yeah,
Track it
let's do
down.
that, yeah.
So I'm sorry if I missed something, but we are not required to follow the minority and business owned, minority and women owned businesses in the current contract. So, I mean, I think it's a great thing to do. I think it's a great thing to encourage as many people to participate as possible, but that's not a contract requirement. That it was in the first version and then that got changed in the second.
Okay.
I was gonna say, there was a lot of back and forth, and it was confirmed with Michelle that we don't have to, but I still think
Okay,
it's
yeah.
good practice.
and EDR is a good firm.
Yeah, and they seemed to do a good job with Dryden, seemed to have a good interaction with them, so.
Yeah.
We could certainly get in reference on how it went from Dryden.
I don't know if you want to put just Colliers, it's COLLIERS, Engineering and Design is where Bergman is now.
Mhm.
According to this website. They're in Rochester. Syracuse and Binghamton.
And there's a lot of, like, architecture firms that say they do planning too, but when you. I do a lot of bias on web search, just how it laid out, and they may do what's called master planning, which is not the same thing as urban planning, so I cut some firms out.
that's interesting. I didn't realize.
I thought CARP Strategies, I could be wrong. We worked with them on more on the PR side. Not planning, CARP, KARP.
Does it make sense to like look at these website and just decide, cut some of them out if they're not really applicable? Very applicable anyway. I mean, we
I can
definitely
take a
want
look.
people who
I know
do
most of these.
planning and we
They're a lot
want,
of competitors.
it would be great to have some that really are focused on. Have an environmental aspect to it, because again, that's how we
I
got.
mean, I
grants
guess if
and
we
all
don't
stuff.
do it, they would respond. I mean, is there a harm in casting a wide net?
Well, isn't there like I'm trying to think of how we usually get, because we don't always know somebody directly in a town when we get requests like RFPs for comp plans. But we get like there's a website that we get like focused emails from with like RFPs like that's like an American
Is it
Planners.
ARA?
It might be the AR, yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a central, so that's on our,
The e-sign publication.
it's like, the New York website chapter.
Yep, yeah, so some of those. Is where we get like our RFPs through.
So-
Not directly, just an outreach from
Yeah.
the client unless we've worked with them in the past.
seems like it would be worth sending it there to
Yeah.
go to the outreach to planning firms.
Forget whose question it was Rose or Rox's, but the comptroller's. The document for procurement said that when going out for private firms, best practices to go out as widely and as broadly as possible to do huge sort of, within a week.
Yeah.
roughly.
That's fine.
But what's
But to
the
be added
question?
and not removed for both.
To any
add
update
to
to this
this?
list. Or
Seems like a lot
remove
already.
or change.
Well, we think, you said, from what you just said, we should just send it out, even if they're really not applicable, so there's no use in for doing that.
I think a wider casting that is good, and we can tell from their submission if they submit something. And if they don't, if they realize it's not in their expertise, then they just won't.
Yeah.
I mean, are we wanting to, I see, I mean, for the publications, there's, Rochester and Buffalo, but are we doing other towns, Corning and Elmira, and Binghamton and like,
I can cast a wider net there too, in publications.
there's there. Probably I would imagine. Get, I'm not sure how many takers there would be for Buffalo here, maybe none. Okay, so we're gonna be looking at this, we're going to make note of anything we want to add, and we're going to email any potential
It's
additions.
on SharePoint, right?
It is.
Do you want to, oh, we can't, we'll
Well,
email it. to
hopefully,
Nancy.
Yeah, but then,
Cause it'd be great if everybody just had access to the one document, everybody goes in and
Mhm.
everybody's comments would be on the single
Yeah,
document,
you just
but
add
if
there.
it takes a little bit of time to
We can get it
figure
to-
out the permissions, it might be easier just to overload you with emails.
Yes.
Alrighty, anything else, grant updates? I guess there's nothing we have to agree on or vote on there. Do we want to, so the civic youth internship program input, this is item B, 5B. That are people that are upstairs,
They're meeting. For probably another half hour.
so we're just gonna pass this right now and go on to,
Well, I can talk
So-
about in broad terms.
Okay.
What they did.
okay, let's do that.
And then, so Rachel will be coming down probably around 6:30-ish to do a little intro with the students.
And will that be part of this meeting, or we close this meeting and then that happens?
I think we were gonna close it, so we're open.
Okay,
Public notice,
Okay.
or public, yeah.
okay, so item 5B, civic youth internship program input, you're giving us an update?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we have been working with them for about a month. Roughly every week
Mhm.
on Wednesdays. And got them into looking at surveys, full survey process. Doing a focus group kind of shred type thing. And then as part of that program, we asked them to reach out to students in other classes. And so there was 4 groups. Each group had a team leader, note taker, and facilitator. And 3 of the groups met with 2 classrooms. One group met with 1 classroom. And we gave them a list of questions that they could work from or develop their own. And there was a lot of discussions that kind of, a mixture of both. They gravitated almost with similar questions. So this too is on SharePoint. I also sent the actual PowerPoint because I realize this is difficult to read.
Yeah, microscope.
And for young guys. But there's some interesting information I think that you might find, but like a majority of the respondents felt that, for example, small scale commercial should be encouraged in the town.
I'm surprised on the second one. Group 4 wants. Their biggest thing was closing non-housing, non-residential development closer to it. That's surprising. That's supposed to include just T-Berg or.
Mhm.
I think a lot of kids want to get out of T-Berg.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. Be closer to town.
So there's quite a bit of data, and Molly, I thank you, Molly, for compiling everything and
you, Mom.
putting this to a group for us. We just got this, or we're able to finish up as much as we could this afternoon. But the students are going over this with Rachel right now. And at the end of the meeting, I think Rachel wanted to keep it fairly small.
Yeah.
There's just maybe 3 or 4 committee members that they could talk to, so it's not too overwhelming. But it's an interesting snapshot, I think, from youth and the community.
Yeah, that's great.
So, one of the reasons I wanted to have the sort of pre-survey to get people to sort of say what's on their mind is like, it's very hard to write questions that aren't in a way kind of leading,
Right.
like,
How
You
great
know,
is?
well, like, should there be affordable housing? Well, who's gonna say no?
Yeah.
So I just feel like, crafting questions in a way that doesn't skew the results.
Right.
I mean, that was
That's hard.
a big issue for me with the village's comprehensive plan is it's the framing of the questions really leads to certain
Right.
results that weren't necessarily representative of how people really felt about the issue. I mean, on the flip side of, should there be more housing built? Like, should people be allowed to tear down historic houses? To put up, large apartment buildings. So, I mean, people would say no to that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's hard to get answers to questions in a way that isn't leading, I guess it's.
Well, oh, that's what's helpful. I'm like, oh, there's actually a question that goes with these. I'm not seeing them as papers, actually, with a question. Am I just missing?
nope. It's on the first slide. In the second one,
Oh,
and then the other one's on this.
I love seeing what the kids have to say. Because it really is diverse from a lot of people maybe who are in a different age group, let's say. And what they might be concerned about. But I do feel like it's really challenging to not have your ideas of what's important. I think we're all here because we're concerned about things, certain issues. And so it is sort of hard to get a true.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say, I think when we finally decide to do a survey or questions on, I think I suggested before, maybe looking at if it makes sense to use some, or look at the questions from the last, we hired the Survey Research Institute at Cornell, whose, job it is to know how to talk to you and hear what you want to know, and then craft the questions so that it doesn't do that.
Right.
So I think, that may well be something that makes sense to do again, because, and that's what we did the last time, so, so I think, I agree with you totally.
Yeah,
And I think it's
that's
very
not-
hard for a group like this to make up those kind of
Oh,
questions.
yeah. No,
But
it's
I
good
mean,
to have
they talk to
somebody
you
who
and
does
they
that
find
for-
out what you want to get out of it, and then they
Yeah,
will draft the questions that are applied in as neutral, as appropriate in terms of.
Right.
yeah. I mean, is
survey
that
theory.
something that our
There's a lot of people that
RFP
do that
with
at
our
Cornell.
Our consultant, wouldn't our consultant person have some
And that's what I'm hoping.
capacity?
And
to be able to do
we can discuss that out in interviews,
that? Yeah,
because it is leading the question is very difficult not to do, and especially when you start getting into demographics, because
yeah,
planning's generally an older white guy perception,
yeah,
and being able to reach out to is, how you frame those questions is very, very important.
yeah. No, I think that's very true. Hopefully our person we pick has some experience with that too.
But we could look
Our
at
consultant.
that, because there is locally that, I mean, they used to do that anyway, they did it before, I know.
Yeah,
You can hire them to work with you on that stuff.
Was it the planning department or?
It was the survey, I don't know if it
Research
still,
Institute.
yeah, if it
Yeah.
still exists the way it did before, because I haven't had an interaction with them in a while, but.
I think Lansing used them
Yeah.
for their 2019.
Yeah, it's
comp plan
Cornell
update.
Survey Research Institute, and so they've done a bunch of work locally, so they have a good sort of local knowledge,
Yeah.
and so I don't see why, we
That's
can't
great.
consider that, and then, the consultants have a lot of other work to do already anyway, so gathering all the demographic stuff, helping with them,
that'd be
all kinds
helpful.
of things, so, yeah, I mean, it's worth looking at, and
Yeah.
I could look into it further if you want it, Cornell, anyway. It's what we did before, and as Liz said, other communities locally have done.
Speaking of what you did before, I was reading the comp plan and I wonder how different it will be. Like, are we gonna wind up saying all the same things over again? Do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Well, but that's what's interesting about an update, right?
Right.
And that's why I think it's interesting to try to parallel at least some of it and
Yeah.
add on to things that have changed, or,
Yeah, did
to
we
get some
accomplish
sense.
that?
Or, well, of the demographics of it. Well, sure, you never accomplish it all. It's,
Yeah.
it's challenging, but if you hear people still really want you to accomplish that, that's something you should put on the higher on the priority list than it ended up to be last time.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of things have changed and evolved since then. I mean, that information came from 2007 and 8. That was a while ago, 15 years. So,
I'm just wondering if people
Yeah.
are going to care about the same things.
yeah, I think that's super interesting.
Yeah. So, but we don't really want to dwell on that, right? We're sort of starting fresh.
Well, we're doing an
or-
update. I mean,
Okay, I
right?
guess that's
I
sort
mean,
of
We're
what I'm
not
wondering.
starting over.
Are we working off of the old one at all? Or are we just starting fresh?
That's what we said. That's what an update, I would think of an update as.
I normally think of periodic updates. You're taking what we have, but you are starting new and fresh in a lot of ways. But I mean, you're taking you look at those action items, right, that were important and see where they've, if they've not been accomplished, where they rate as far as community, and then incorporate some things that maybe. I did just come across it took a while to find the 2009 comp plan, the first one. And it's an interesting read if you want to try to, if committee members want to take a look at those two documents and see what.
The 1999,
You mean
1999,
1999?
The
Okay.
first comp plan,
Oh, okay. I thought the
Yeah,
two
no,
documents.
that would be interesting
Yeah.
to see.
and then you
Yeah.
can also compare,
Yep.
what's also interesting is comparing the land use map of
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
first one versus
Yep.
the second one.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
That would be cool.
Yeah.
put that on the SharePoint.
Okay.
No, it's true. I think it's think it's really important to do comparisons along the way, see what's happening different, and then we'll get a whole bunch of demographic information
Yeah.
and land use change information from what it was in 2000, the data that's in the 2009 one, which will be really interesting and helpful
I think
too.
that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
as people, uh-oh.
Oh.
Okay. I think as we move forward into the next discussion for people who are gonna, voice their opinions to be able to see where were we in 1999 and what, to
Right,
see those
yeah.
changes over
I mean, maybe,
time, like,
making
oh,
some of those things would be great kind of visuals to get
It would
discussion
be.
going for public meetings, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah, visual.
There's gonna be a
That's
lot
pretty
of
fun.
new items that'll come up now that
Oh, yeah.
weren't at the forefront of people's minds, climate change and flooding and
Right.
stuff that
Well, and that's,
were around in
Y2K.
2009, but not.
and that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Really, we're
Mhm.
supposed to be focusing on that as a thing that we do, not the only thing, but
Mhm.
that's what we said we're gonna do and the board committed to doing in the grant, so.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, you're right. I
build
mean,
from.
flood from float,
Yep.
whatever, 2 or 3 years, however long ago that was with the refrigerators
Hats.
floating into the lake and everything,
Yeah.
that was
There's gonna be
kind
a
of
lot
unprecedented
environmental issues
stuff.
that weren't discussed.
Energy is a
Yep.
big issue and,
Yep.
there's a whole bunch of proposals for different ways to do energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and land use connected to what people do for energy.
Yeah.
How much solar farms you want taking up farmland versus, there's a lot of interesting things that, for our town, that pretty applicable to our town.
Okay. Right. Where are we? Civic Youth Internship Program input, anything else?
It's not that, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and do this yet, but I did talk to Nancy Zaylor, one of the former supervisors. For the town, and she and I walked through the action items and from the 2009 comp plan. And I have her feedback of what she felt was done and some things that were still open, so I just have to take it from this and then synthesize it, and then I'll put it on SharePoint.
Right. Oh, that's
So-
right, because we were gonna get other, yeah.
Yeah, just
okay,
to
yeah.
see, like, I think Caitlin and Michelle were gonna talk about it, at some point too. And then I don't know if we wanna talk to Liz Thomas and get her feedback and input too.
That'd be great.
But I have it, I just need to
Thank you for doing that.
Right,
redo it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be good to get Liz probably too, and I could go through it too,
Yeah,
just
yourself.
since I'm here, but like, just to remember
Yeah.
what happened. That should be pretty comprehensively. We could ask Darby, Kylie too, she might have some ideas about it,
Well, and
cause she worked on some of
seems
that
like it
in the
would be
beginning.
at least a
Yeah.
page in our new comp plan, like
Yeah,
what we,
right, yeah, like it's
what did we,
just a-
what did we?
no, I think
accomplish?
that's a useful exercise,
you
cause
know.
it's like a cross checklist too.
Yeah,
She wasn't on the supervisor on the town board, but she's
Yeah.
been around a long time on the planning board and things that have done a lot of that too, so.
yeah, at least to
So-
see what people were focused on then and.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we actually
Yeah.
Accomplished. Great,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah, that's great.
Anything else? On that?
No, not on
Okay.
this. I'll post it I'll work on it
Maybe you'll
over the next
post
couple
it
weeks when
on
I have no
SharePoint.
meetings.
Yeah, maybe it'll go on SharePoint.
Just have
Then that's the
Christmas.
holiday, right.
Christmas-
Yeah.
Christmas and 2 birthdays.
Yeah, 2 birthdays.
Oh,
Yeah.
fun. Um,
December birthdays.
2 January,
Oh,
both our kids.
wow.
Can't take advantage of Christmas sale after Christmas sales.
Yeah.
that's true. Seems like a total bonus.
That's the only
I
good
see
thing
that's
that's
been a
come out of
strategy
it.
in the
Yeah,
past.
it's been a lot. Molly, is there a comment in the chat that we're supposed to look at?
Probably just Caitlin, she said she's coming in.
Okay. Just making sure. we have Something there from Karen and Bob. So great, and I presume, so we're sharing this stuff amongst ourselves and it'll in some way, some form be shared with everyone else,
Which one are we talking about?
either or both.
No, I meant is what information are we
The
talking?
So like
youth, so this.
the youth
piece,
input,
The youth input, is that,
That's on SharePoint. The list to distribute is also on SharePoint.
I mean, with
Okay.
with the public, like, what do we do? Where does this go from here?
If you want for, we can make this public.
I think that would be.
I
we
don't
can
know
ask
how
the
we-
kids tonight
Yeah, we
if they
can ask
have
them.
any issues, just, it gives a different perspective.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, I don't know where or how we do that, if it's just on the website for people to look at if they wanna see it, or.
Put it in the newsletter too. And
I just,
Facebook.
I'll just forward this thing I say every time, but somebody actually contacted me and said that it would be good for the comprehensive plan committee and others to stay aware that there's the Ithaca City School District too, and so like not just representing that that's the youth of Ulysses.
For sure.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
it's a project that would just, I think we should just be clear about that, that it was, a project done as part
At
of
the
this
school.
school, yeah, and it's some
Well,
portion,
private, so
portion
it-
of the youth in
Yeah, yeah.
Ulysses, just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a
a good point.
sensitivity to
There is.
this.
I was
Sure,
one of
sure.
those kids.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there really is some.
No, that's, and
I
that's,
just like
it's
us
not
to
just
be
young
cut-
people
yeah,
feel that
because-
way, a lot.
yeah.
The whole.
No, I'm
everybody in the
talking
town,
about
Yeah, feels that
not
way.
young people,
Everybody
but,
wants to be heard.
Yeah, so just to try to make sure everybody
Yeah.
feels included,
Yeah.
like it's not being biased, this
Yeah.
whole effort in
Mhm.
towards Trumansburg,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
that whole thing that happens.
So when we share that, if we share it on the website or wherever, just name
Just
it.
be clear about
name
that,
it
yeah.
correct. Correctly.
Trumansburg High School,
Yeah,
or Charles E. Dickinson.
yeah.
Oh,
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 Dickinson.
it's,
Yep.
Okay, anything else? We just do a new business?
So the only thing I have, and the other committee members have anything, is setting the February schedule if you want.
Yeah.
Do we have January?
January is Thursday, the 11th
Okay, good.
at 5:30.
So Thursday, the 11th, that's the second Thursday, January. I cannot do Thursdays in February. I could do Tuesday or Wednesday.
So you're saying you can't do the 11th in January?
I can do January.
Oh,
I just can't,
February, I see.
I can't do the second Thursday in February. But I could do February 6th or 7th. And then I could do
I think early would be better, not to
The following
interfere
week.
with the
Valentine's Day.
holiday.
Winter
weekend.
break is the 19th.
Mm.
for
Oh, it's
schools.
that-
Oh, good to know. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't want to back up against that. Okay, so we
Possibly.
could,
I could be wrong.
do the 6th or the 6th or the 7th or the 12th or the 13th.
The
Probably don't wanna
13th is
be-
the town.
Yeah.
Oh,
Meetings
town.
around Tuesdays.
All Tuesdays.
All Tuesdays are bad, okay. So
The
the
first
7th or the
Tuesday's
12th,
bad?
or we could meet on
Yes.
Oh,
Valentine's
right.
Day.
The 7th?
yeah.
I can do some.
Right, 7th? Works for me.
Mm.
5:30, 6,
5:30 is good.
30? Alright. Great. We need to vote on that.
If you want to.
Do we need to?
Do we need a motion that we're gonna meet on February 6th,
Yeah.
7th.
7th?
We could have that
I
motion,
think
but
we
it's
do.
not what we want to do. No.
You what?
You're second, maybe we should have.
Maybe we should have a vote,
Just so we know what we're doing.
so we know what day it
Make
actually
sure it
is.
is right schedule.
Caitlin logged off for.
Alright, Caitlin, does that work for you?
Sounds good, thanks.
Sweet.
All right.
Okay. Anything else under new? That's it.
Oh, I don't have anything.
Roxanne?
I just wanted to raise, I'm just wondering, I've been looking at this project timeline. The initial outreach and scoping is this quarter, that we're in right now, and then the first quarter of next year. So, I mean, is that like when we would have meetings with the public, like those kind of meetings where you have the tables and people come and talk and share their ideas and everything as part of a comp planning process?
So that timeline's just very general,
I know.
or pre-consultants. I'm sure a consultant will probably massage that a little bit, but the idea is that that's when most of the outreach goes out and get some initial feedback from the public, but
Right.
Yeah.
But can't we start doing that even if we don't have a consultant? Like, we could do that. We could hold a couple of those meetings and run them and get input. And I feel like there was so much turnout for a particular, there's like a lot of public interest right now in town plan, what the town's doing, town plans, plan for recreation, plan for other things, that it would be great to capitalize on that, I think. And so I'd really like us to think about, organizing a couple meetings where we have that, we have the board or the post-it notes, whatever, however you want to do it. And we just get people to come and talk about some of their ideas and things that they think are important.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not, and why there couldn't be something somewhere where it just stays there. People, it's at the library and there's a tree and there's leaves and you could just stick it up there, whatever, and just leave it there for a month.
I mean, we
and-
can put it there
You know.
after we had the meeting and we talked to people
Yeah.
and they came and,
Yeah,
but they got to meet some of the people on this committee here, just
Yeah.
gather information and just let people sort of get together and
I think that's a good
talk
point.
about what they think.
I also want
now
to
where
just point
there's
out that I
energy.
think when we first started talking about people joining this steering committee, it was a year ago. And the commitment was 12 to 18 months. A year ago. So, like, there's also that, like, I don't know, I know our time
If
frame has
people
changed
are
and whether people
needing
will
to make some
stay.
changes.
Yeah,
Come the
whether
new year.
people can just keep go,
But if we have these and
If
we
we
get
get
people
started.
that come and seem to be interested, then they
Yeah.
might come to the meetings more. And I just think it's like a way to get it out there that we want to hear, we want to talk, we want people to be together,
Yeah.
just, I think it would make a good energy after,
winter time is a good time
divisive,
to do that too.
a bit of
Late
a
winter.
unfortunately
spring.
divisive issue that just
Mhm.
happened, but I think,
Yeah.
in the forefront of people's minds, they wanna talk, or they should want to. If they don't come, well, then, hey,
Right.
we're trying.
Mhm.
So I would really like to see us think about trying to schedule those like during this quarter and doing it even without a consultant. I don't think, I mean, we
Yeah.
made a whole comprehensive plan once without a consultant, so I
And
think
I
we
think
could
maybe
have
we
that.
could do some of it. I do think the consultant is gonna have their own spin on things, so we can't go too far
Oh, yeah,
into
no,
things
But it
without,
could be a
but
basic.
we could definitely
yeah.
do some basic
yeah, but I mean, it's,
outreach or I don't
Yeah.
mind the idea about like a tree or something at the library. I'm
Yeah,
sure we can
and it
work
could
with
just
the-
be these questions, you know what I mean?
Right.
It could be just what we've already kind of put out there and just keep,
Yeah,
I like that idea, but I really would like us to talk to people, have people come first, and then you can put up
yeah.
a tree and post-its and all. And I mean, the consultant can hold meetings and present things as we get it too. You get all the demographic data, you get the stuff that's starting to be developed, and public comes to
Yeah.
that and gives more input. But this one, I just think it's us, it's our plan. It's not a consultant's plan anyway. It's like, here's what we're doing,
I
come
think
and
that's
join.
fine, Roxanne.
Yeah.
I think It's a fine idea.
Yeah.
I mean, for us to at least, discuss, we could. discuss
So
as a
maybe
committee, but
in January, maybe we can get people on the committee all to think about, a couple dates that might work, and then we can find a spot for it.
how do we decide as a committee whether or not we can go forward with that idea?
I was gonna ask if you wanna have this as,
I think
think about it over the next month, and then at the meeting on the
13, 14, 11, whatever.
Yeah.
to really suss that out and figure out the time.
Is it the 11th?
The 11th, yeah.
Okay.
Whether we agree as a committee that it's okay to go forward with that plan, or do we decide that?
Everything that's involved.
Yeah, I
Where,
think that'd be
where it's
good.
located.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Well, let's
Right.
have it as an agenda, like.
Yeah,
mhm,
maybe we
Conversation
can,
next
yeah,
time.
put the email out ahead of time so people can think about
Yeah.
it. Great, thank you.
hopefully SharePoint will be up and running, and that'll be like.
But even if not, let's use the email.
I mean, pre-meeting, so that.
Yeah.
synergy can kind of happen, so. that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that'd be
wonder,
great.
like, would you wanna focus on like the recreation
No.
aspects? or
No.
No.
But
I mean, that could be
No, it's
one
all-
I
aspect
guess,
of
you
it.
know, since you were saying,
No,
you
I-
wanted to.
I'm
But-
saying
ease
there's a
on
lot
the-
of interest, people have, yeah, I think, you know, it's a good time to tap
I
people's.
think it has to be more general.
Yeah,
It's gotta
oh
be
yeah, no, I
related
don't
to
think
what
it
we're
should just
doing
be
in our
recreation, but
lives.
if, you know, that might be something people care about that they want
yeah.
a plan for, and so they'll come and tell you that, but I think just to capitalize on the interests or projected potential interest in engaging in discussions about the direction of things in the town, you know, that was one thing, but this is lots of things, and so.
If we had a tree at the library, is there a virtual tree or something like that? Probably is. I'm not techy.
Make one.
I'm sure there's something we can do.
We had, you know, people have different ways to.
Yeah.
Share their thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
And as something similar to that, I've been playing with the idea, wanted to see what y'all thought about it. Is there's generally a lot of photos that go into the comp plan, local area, and I was thinking it might be fun for the community to do like a photo contest, so that, and we do it each quarter, so that we get really good snapshots of what people think of the whole season, the winter,
Yeah.
spring, summer, fall, and then.
Love that.
I like that.
Yeah, like
It's a
things you
great
like
idea.
or things
Well,
that
yeah.
inspire you or things you really don't like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's another
Yeah,
way to
the
get the
pothole,
community
that's
involved too and thinking about all this too.
Right,
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. Can we talk about that next meeting also?
yeah. Yeah, thank you, I'm really excited to get the
Good ideas.
community involved, talking,
Yeah.
like not just giving them a piece of paper, but coming,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Although that was a great job, and thank you for doing that at Winterfest.
I mean, maybe we need a mascot. Just
A mascot,
towns
could
get
that be?
mascots. Putting it out
Okay.
Like a
Um,
creative-
yeah.
Or a waterfall,
Yeah,
beautiful waterfall.
okay, anything
well,
else
there's like, yeah,
under new item
Historical Society, we could go look over there.
for mascot?
Mhm.
I mean, it could like go places.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a modern. one
Flat
instead.
stand. Anything else? Okay, are we ready to adjourn? Okay, I think we need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Rose, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The end. Thanks, everybody.